Guys, episode 5 of The Boys just dropped, and while it didn't have the same amount of payoff as episode 4, I still really enjoyed it. Per usual, I'm going to give my thoughts on the episode, but real quick, be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into it. This episode can be divided up into 3 plot lines. We got the Supes at the annual V52 Expo, the boys teaming up with Stan Edgar to track down the Supe virus, and we got Hughie at the hospital with his dad. Where better to start than with this year's V52 Expo, where we got to see the next 10 phases of the VCU announced. But despite all the cool announcements on stage, it's what was happening behind the scenes that's way more interesting. First thing is we get to see Sage going up to A-Train and pretty much say, "I know it was you that leaked the files to the boys." This causes A-Train to blackmail Ashley into helping him. It seemed like A-Train alluded to having more dirt on her than just leaving floaters in Homelander's toilet, so I'm kinda interested to see that get revealed later on. We also see Homelander and Ryan in a pitch meeting with the director of Dawn of the Seven, and Ryan still isn't on board with being a movie star. Then we see Homelander do something unexpected, and tell Ryan he doesn't have to do it if he doesn't want to. When the meeting is over, Homelander tells Ryan how he was manipulated all his life and doesn't want the same for him. I love the moments like this because whenever you think Homelander is making some reasonable point, he always manages to distort it in his own twisted way. If you saw my episode 1 through 3 breakdown, I said this season felt like a convergence of the past and the future for every character. And as of episode 5, Homelander's the only character who has dealt with his past. This gives him a huge advantage going forward. I like to think Homelander has entered his awakened state. While this awakening didn't bring any new physical abilities, thank God, Homelander dealt with his past trauma in episode 4 and gained a new level of emotional intelligence. We see this after Ryan tells him he wants to help people when he grows up. Homelander visibly recoils at this response, but instead of flipping out on Ryan, he encourages his goal. Just a heads up guys, it's really easy to get somebody to do what you want them to do if you make them think it was their idea. And that's exactly what Homelander does next. Earlier in the episode, we see the director guy was being creepy towards his assistant. Homelander calls them both over, and Ryan makes him apologize. But this guy is super disingenuous about it. Homelander whispers some things into Ryan's ear, and the situation ends with Ryan telling the assistant to beat the shit out of him. While yeah, he deserved it, it showed how Homelander is now able to twist Ryan's goals to better align with his. We also get to see Sam and Kate from Gen V in this episode, which was cool. Later on though, all the Supes are in Seven Tower doing a little rap party or whatever, and we see a heated interaction between Sage and Firecracker. Then Homelander announces they found the leaker. A-Train looks like he's about to bolt when they bring in Cameron Coleman. Apparently Ashley planted some evidence on his phone in retaliation for him breaking up with her, so don't fuck with Ashley I guess. This episode, we did get to see Sage's biggest weakness, and that's her hubris. The fact that she felt the need to gloat to A-Train that she knew it was him directly gave A-Train enough time to make something happen. Because she's the smartest person alive, she thinks she can manipulate people like it's chess. So I won't be surprised when the pieces stop moving like she thinks they will. Random side point, but did anybody else feel like Kate and Sam weren't actually in the conference room with everybody else? Like it was some sort of reshoot? Alright, the Butchers/Boys plot sees the return of an incarcerated Stan Edgar as he aids them in finding Newman's Supe virus. When they make it to the lab, they see the place has been trashed. Shortly after, Victoria Newman shows up. Because surprise surprise, she was keeping tabs on Stan Edgar. Newman threatens to pop everybody's head when Stan does what he does best and strikes a deal between the two groups to track down the scientist Samir. We get a lot of great moments while the group searches the farm for this guy, so I'll just touch base on a few real quick. In the lab, Butcher finds a rabbit being juiced up with Temp V and releases it. Kimiko looks at him in a really heartwarming way, but I think there was more here than meets the eye. As the group is walking, Butcher encounters the rabbit again slightly off trail, and he sees there are these gross tendrils coming out of it. You can tell by the look on his face that he's put 2 and 2 together and has realized this must be what's inside of him that took out Ezekiel. What this has me wondering is, did Butcher release the rabbit because he wanted to, or could Butcher's brainworm sense the other one and compelled him to release the rodent? I also like the back and forth between Newman and Stan Edgar. It's fun to see a stoic character like Stan have that blank "you got me" look on his face when Newman calls him out on his views. We also get a really good interaction between Frenchie and Starlight talking about religion, and the main takeaway from this is that Frenchie is so fucked up mentally. More on that later though. The group finds Samir, but in order to escape the killer sheep, they have to use the last dose of the Supe virus to take him out. When the dust settles, everyone is accounted for except Samir. The FBI searched the property for him, but only found his leg. The suits then take Stan back to jail, but not before Newman can intercept and break him out. At the end of the episode, we see Frenchie turn himself into the police, which was insane. I'm really curious if he's going to rat on his Russian mob ex-girlfriend, and if he does, will that make him a target while he's detained? More importantly though, Butcher and Joe Kessler return to the farm, where we see Butcher has captured Samir in order for him to make more soup virus. Now this has been a theory floating around for a couple weeks, but this last scene all but confirms Joe Kessler is just a figment of Butcher's imagination. Lastly, we got Hughie's plotline, and this one was hard on the emotions. After Hughie's mom juices his dad up with V, everything seems alright, but as the day goes on, Hugh begins to show signs of forgetfulness. This leads to him going on a dementia-induced rampage through the hospital as he's uncontrollably phasing through things and people. It's interesting the potential genetic factor in Soup's abilities, like how Hughie on Temp V could teleport and his dad was able to phase through things, similar to how Polarity and Andre both had metal manipulation. Anyway, eventually they calm Hugh down and Hughie pumps him up with enough drugs to kill him. Hughie's inability to let go caused so much pain for him, his mom, and the innocent people at the hospital. Main takeaway though is now that Hughie understands the importance of letting go, how will this affect his relationship with a dying Butcher? Anyway, that concludes our weekly Boys Yap Fest. Let me know y'all's thoughts on the episode in the comments down below. See you on the next Randograph.